Hello everyone, I'm Sheikh Nazaruddin. I work as support engineer for Google Search Appliances, also known as GSAs. Today I'm going to talk about the concept of mirroring, a process used to replicate data between GSAs. All right, as far as the agenda goes, we're going to talk about basics, architecture of mirroring, the common problems we encounter in the field, how to go about troubleshooting mirroring related problems, where the documentation is located, and how to contact GSA support. Basics. Mirroring is a process of replicating data between two GSAs. The GSA from which data gets replicated over is called the master, and the GSA which receives the data is called as the replicant. Replicated data includes configuration information as well as indexed contents. Mirroring can also be used to load balance search requests. We call this as active-active configuration. The diagram on this slide shows two GSAs in a load balancing configuration. The primary GSA crawls the contents, but both primary as well as the replica serve up the contents. Mirroring can also be used to configure a backup or a disaster recovery solution for the master or the primary GSA. We call this as active-passive configuration. Once mirroring is configured, a virtual interface is created internal to the GSA. The virtual interface uses LAN 1 or ETH0 for its communication. Configurations are done in the master GSA. Crawling as well as feeds are sent to the master GSA. Mirroring requires a data transfer rate of 1 megabytes per second. This is a very important requirement because mirroring will not work if data transfer is less than 1 megabytes per second. Mirroring also requires both the GSAs to have the same hardware as well as the software version. Architecture. Mirroring uses IPSEC tunnels between the GSAs. IPSEC tunnel uses authentication header protocol and payload protocol for encrypting data. IPSEC cannot function if there are NAT devices between the two GSAs. Initial data transfer takes longer time, but once a full data is copied over from the master to the replica, any changes just involves copying the deltas from the master to the replica. The way mirroring works is as follows. Data files on the master gets locked. The master GSA copies the data files to the replica, and then it unlocks the data files. If for some reason master cannot lock a data file, it moves to the next index set because the master has more than one index set on its disk. The diagram on the bottom of the slide shows two GSAs in a mirrored setup. The diagram has public IPs for both the master and the replica GSA. It's not a requirement to have public IPs, but it is a requirement to ensure the GSA and network IP does not use the same subnet as the GSA's IP. If you take a closer look, you would also see protocols UDP 500 and IP 51 need to be opened between the two GSAs. Common problems. This slide shows a list of common problems. This is not a comprehensive list, but it lists the most common issues we encounter in the field. The first one, the required ports are not opened. UDP port 500 and port 51 are necessary for mirroring to work. Port 8443 is also required for transmitting the configuration from the master to the replica GSA. Secret token needs to be the same on the master as well as the replica. This is not an issue in the new versions of the GSA, where all the information configured on the master node gets transmitted to the replica. Also make sure the GSA to the power n network IP is not same as the GSA's IP, or it's not in the same subnet. For the list of issues, you can access our help center through the link on the slide. Troubleshooting. In this slide, I talk about a few troubleshooting tips you could use if you have issues configuring mirroring. Always ensure mirroring configuration is correct without any typos. We generally recommend to recreate the configuration from scratch. The GSA also has additional troubleshooting tools, and if you check the network diagnostics underneath GSA N, you would see 3 status indicators: ping, tunnel, and application status indicators. All the 3 indicators should be green. If ping indicator is red, the most likely cause is an invalid IP for the GSA N network IP. If the tunnel and the application status are red, most likely the required ports are not open. In addition to the status indicators, we also have packet capturing tool. The slide in your screen shows where exactly the packet capturing tool is located. If you navigate to status and reports, real-time diagnostics, you would see the packet capture. Now start the packet capture, allow the packet capture to run for a minute or 2. Stop the packet capture and open the packet capture in Wireshark or any other packet capture analysis tool. If the tunnel and the application status indicators are red, you would normally see the traffic between master and replica is not bidirectional. Look particularly for the ESP protocol. It should have bidirectional communication between the master and the replica. In the next 2 slides, I have a good capture as well as a bad capture. The good capture was taken when mirroring was configured without any issues, and the bad capture when mirroring had issues. Take a moment to look at the good capture. Pay close attention to the source and the destination IP. Okay, now take a look at this bad capture. Do you see any difference? If you compare both the captures, you would see bidirectional traffic between the GSAs for ESP protocol in the good capture, but you will not see a bidirectional traffic between the GSAs in the bad capture. The problem most likely is caused by port 51 not being open between the GSAs. Talk to your network team and ensure port 51 is open between the GSAs for communication. This slide, it has links to the main documentation which you could use for configuring mirroring. It also has link which talks about what information gets copied over between the GSAs. In addition, it has a link to the prerequisites for configuring mirroring. If you have exhausted all the resources, you could contact us by opening a support case through the support portal. Please provide the detailed steps on what you tried, screenshot of the status indicators underneath GSA N network diagnostics, as well as the packet capture taken on the master as well as the replica appliance. Thank you.